Alright, next question. How could one diet change, if at all, when cutting or bulking on test? The thing you need to remember is that hormones in general are going to increase both nutrient partitioning, they're going to increase feed efficiency, which means you absorb nutrients a little better, and we know this from all the animal studies. It's one of the reasons we grow animals on these things for food purposes. But that's really almost irrelevant because in some ways they cancel each other out because they tend to raise metabolism, but you absorb calories better at the same time. That ends up balancing out, other than you get a better nutrient partitioning. Whether you're bulking or cutting, you're going to gain slightly less fat when you're bulking due to the nutrient partitioning and the fact that you're gaining more muscle than you would, and you're going to retain muscle better while you're cutting, which in turn will mean less calories pulled from muscle tissue means more coming from your fat tissue. So you've got that to consider, but that doesn't really affect your macronutrients. Now, where the macronutrients change, I'm going to say because of your increased protein turnover and increased protein synthesis, you're probably going to want a bit more protein for either purposes if you're using testosterone on a bulk or a cut. I would say increase it over what the normal minimums I give, another 25 to 50% is probably going to be about optimal. And then in terms of your dietary fat, all the dietary fat recommendations I make are because you need them for hormonal purposes. You don't need nearly as much fat. You only need essential fats for purposes of, again, the metabolic effects of essential fats, and you don't need more than about 5 or 6 grams of total omega-3 and omega-6 in your diet at the most for optimal function. And for basic survival, you need at least 18 grams of fat as an adult male per day. So you want to keep it above that, obviously, but you don't need the amount of dietary fat you need. It's a natural, so you can drop it a lot lower. And actually, dietary fat is less anabolic to muscle tissue per calorie, and it is more fattening to fat cells per calorie, and this is proven, than carbs or protein are. So the best choice would be to drop your fat lower, but keep it above a minimum of 25 grams a day. But you can change that. So you increase protein, lower fat would be the only real changes you need to make if you want to optimize on the benefits of your drugs. Now, dropping the fat that low is going to make your recovery even harder and crash you harder if you should ever come off. But if you go with the other advice, I don't recommend ever coming off. I take the blasting and cruising model, and I look at guys like Louis Simmons, who said in an interview at one point he had been on testosterone and or equipoise for 36 years straight without coming off. And that's the kind of model I would recommend. If you're going to go on, you stay on. So you don't need to worry about that dietary fat thing. But for people who are going to try to cycle, running the low fat will crash your production harder, and it's going to take you even longer to regain your normal testosterone. But you're going to lose all your gains over time anyways. You made off the drugs if you come off, so why would you ever cycle off? Alright, next question. Hey Jason, on programs for enhanced lifters, currently I'm using a 3-5-1 template with the big but boring additional lifts. Goal is strength, but mostly size. Right direction or not? Actually, I think the choice of programs that you're using right now for someone who wants both a lot of size and a lot of strength, I think is a good combination. That is a good power building protocol to run the 5-3-1 with the big but boring template. And for those who are standing there going, oh, that's all low rep work. No, it's not. The big but boring is something like 5 sets of 10 on all of your big movements added to all the powerlifting work. So it will get the job done, absolutely. It may not give you the best aesthetics that you want for being a competitive bodybuilder, but if you're just looking for straight size and strength, it's a very, very good choice for somebody who's running a bit of gear. All right, last question. How much muscle can you build a week on 500 milligrams of Test-E, considering you can only build half a pound naturally? Well, building half a pound of muscle a week naturally can only be done through new gains. So that's something you need to put in perspective right there immediately. That you can't compare the two unless you're running testosterone starting from the first day you start lifting. Now, that being said, generally the research I've seen would indicate to me that 500 milligrams of testosterone a week is probably going to double the amount of muscle you could gain per week and month over what you could at your normal natural hormone levels. So if you're at a point in your development to where you're only gaining half a pound of muscle per month, you can expect to double that on 500 milligrams of testosterone. And that's not considering the water gain and the intramuscular water and glycogen gain you're going to gain while on it, because that's temporary and that won't necessarily stay if you drop the dose down, or if you come off. That will fade very, very fast. But in terms of the true tissue hypertrophy, that dose seems to, in the studies I've seen on healthy men, double your progress. So whatever you're currently able to gain, that will probably double it. But if you're down here at this point in the new gains where you're able to gain half a pound of muscle per week, you have no business messing with gear anyways at that point. And you're probably not going to enhance upon that. I would be willing to bet that if you took a ranked novice and you put them on gear, they're not going to make very much, if any, more gains than they would over their new gains on a really good program. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you next time.